Really cool. We're also gonna change the kickstand now, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the. Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something. Here we go, guys. Very excited for tonight. We have Brandon Picasso in the building. If you're just tuning in to watch the stream or you're watching it after, make sure you hit that thumbs up. It's going to help with the video and the algorithm. Really cool. We're also going to change the kickstand now, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the. Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something. I'm probably not gonna let it run too long, guys. We got a lot to cover. Super excited. Yeah, I know. Project branding logo, that's on here. Really cool. We're also gonna change the kickstand now, guys. Alright, let's take a quick look at the. Hopefully I'm all good, guys. I rolled over something. Yeah, I know. Project branding logo, that's on here. Really cool. We're also gonna change. Guys, if you're tuning in, hit that thumbs up. Would really appreciate it. It helps with the algorithm. Last time I'm gonna let this run and then we'll get this started. What's good, guys? Mike is in the building and welcome to another Freestyle Sunday. Hopefully you guys could hear me nice and clear and you were able to hear that intro nice and clean as well. That was one thing I had to work on also, just to get it just right. Just kind of give you guys a brief breakdown of what we do here on Freestyle Sunday. All right, it's a place where people who shares a passion for motorcycles, whether you're an artist, you do motorcycle artwork, you ride bikes, you drag race, you freaking do roll racing, whatever it is, or you work on your bike, or even if you're a potential new rider that's coming along that's going to be joining us, this is a place for you. It's somewhere it's an open conversation. Everything's pretty much candid, and we tend to have pretty much dope conversation with whoever's around, man. So tonight we're going to be having a very special gentleman that's going to be here, guys. But before we go into that, though, I just want to give you guys a quick heads up. This week I dropped a YouTube Shorts, which is one of the new things that I started doing on the channel, just kind of revamp the channel, okay, to kind of get things going, get the ball rolling. And I also dropped a video also on earlier today, actually. Usually, intentionally, I meant to drop it the day prior, but so much is going on, so I ended up dropping the video today. Also, our guest, Brandon Picasso, did drop a new video, all right? Everybody's link's going to be in the description, so definitely check him out, subscribe to his channel. But let's kind of cover exactly what we're going to be chatting about and pretty much who is going to be part of the show, guys. Again, if you're tuning in, you have to hit that thumbs up just to make it worthwhile, you know, coming here every Sunday and not stopping. Again, to me, I think it's dope that you guys are here, whether it's one person, 2 people, 20, 30, 40, 50. It's still going to be a good show no matter what. We keep the energy the same because you might be watching this a little bit later on in the day. All right. Hopefully you guys had a good one. By the way, we did have a snowstorm out here in New York. So if you guys did have a snowstorm on your end as well, let me know. I'd love to hear what's going on with you guys. All right. But let's just greet everyone first in the chat before we go any further, guys. What we're going to be doing, we're going to just going to cover those bases first before we're going. You have wifey's in the building, of course. Queens NYC, what's up, guys? Governor D Nice, the usual suspects. 5 Up is here. We have that guy Kells is in the building as well. Road Gliders here. It's kind of difficult to pronounce his name. I think Niz Nohi Moto is here. So hopefully we get a few more people, guys. If you have any questions in between any of this stuff, feel free to drop those questions in the comment section. We will be going over most of these questions, guys. So here's what we're going to be covering today, guys. Today, our special guest is going to be Brandon Picasso. Some of you guys might be familiar with the gentleman, all right? Very creative guy. He's done quite a few things that's pretty cool. He's also on the come up on YouTube. This is him. Of course, you can see some of his adventures that he's been on. He's done some press run for Harley, Indian Motorcycles. He's also had a couple of loaner bikes by Indian Motorcycles that he's done long-term reviews. Really interesting content, not just your typical motovlogging style, I would say. His approach is a little bit different, and I can understand as to why his approach is different because motovlogging is not the same. Not that I'm saying it's dead, but it's not the same. You have to bring a unique twist to things to make it interesting, to make it entertaining, and I love that he does that, and it's pretty cool. Let's take a quick look at what we're going to be covering today. Of course, his intro, which is what we're doing, of course. Sport bike life turned to muscle bike rider. That's kind of his thing, and I'd love to kind of hear him kind of talk about that and kind of explain as to why he jumped from super bike to, or sport bike to muscle bike. Some of his creative challenges he's faced on YouTube while he's here. A little bit of behind the scene information about press runs that he's done. His preferred motorcycle style and why, and life outside of motorcycling. And then of course, lastly, we close out the night with a Q&A and kind of answer anyone's questions or ideas that they kind of want to chat about. All right. And as for his social media stat, guys, he's looking at 20,000 YouTube subscribers, which is really cool. 334 videos, man. A lot of work is being put in behind the scene that you do not see. Actually, 334 videos for 20,000 subs is a lot of work, guys. And some of that stuff has to be recognized. And I think it's really cool. So I know how much work and effort it takes for you to kind of get to this point. Especially when you're not doing like something that's completely out of the norm, meaning, you know, some of the super extravagant stuff, but being creative, that stuff it's more of a slow burn. And I think both him and I kind of share the same sentiment where we can accept the fact that it's more of a slow burn, our climb kind of thing. Let me see what he got here. His views on YouTube, 4.5 million views, guys. Really cool. A lot of work that's going on through that here. And yeah, man, I think it's gonna be a real pleasure just chatting with him because I like seeing other content creators that are doing a different approach. Just some of his highlights, I think that would be something cool to kind of point out. Of course, he's a creator. I mentioned his press runs with Harley, and he's done with Indian as well. Huge adventure, I gotta say, man. And he's a bit of a whiskey connoisseur, but tonight I got myself a little Bailey's, so I probably should have whiskey, but I didn't feel like grabbing any whiskey. So to you, sir. And you know, like I said, him being creative is something that's really cool. It's not something that we see often, and I think even when you look at some of his photos on Instagram, the coloring, everything else, I know I'm kind of like pressing this, guys. I want to make it a proper intro for people that's coming onto the show, and not only because that this entire platform is not just for me. Whoever comes on here that's sharing the responsibility of entertaining on a Sunday night, most likely people have to work on the following day. I like to show the appreciation. So it's the least that I could do, kind of highlight this. That way you guys know the value that we're bringing here. And definitely subscribe to him, man. It's definitely worth it. We're going to bounce, of course, to a quick Q&A in the end. And yeah, hopefully you guys have some good questions, whether it's about YouTube or whether it's about just pretty much motorcycles or muscle bikes. That's going to be a pretty good one. And for now, man, let's totally welcome Brandon to the platform, guys. And we'll let him give us a little bit of background of what he does on YouTube and his passion. And I know it was a bit of a build-up, so let's bring on Brandon, guys. Hopefully that wasn't too much, Brandon.
That was a lot. That was way too much.
It was worth it, man. It was worth it, man. Tell us about
I appreciate
everything.
it, man. All right, so if you guys don't know me, as he said, my name is Brandon Picasso. I am a content creator in the motorcycle community. I'm just like you guys. I have a day job, and when I leave work at 5 o'clock every day, I come home and edit and make YouTube videos. So I've been doing it in this, I guess, with the amount of energy I have now for about 4 years. And I'd say in the last year and a half is when things kind of just spiraled into how it is now. So like Clutch was saying, a lot of this is a slow burn for me, and as it is for him. And it's when the fuel kind of kicked in, everything just kind of spiraled into what it is now. But it's fun. It's a lot of work, but I enjoy it. And I get to meet and talk to people like Clutch. Hopefully one day we get a chance to ride. But yeah.
Yeah, man. That would be really cool, to be honest, man. I mean, a lot of people have been kind of slowly, pretty much kind of like making the same mention as you mentioned. Hopefully, one day we tend to ride together or something like that. Because from what I'm seeing, the transition of where moto content creation is going is less about riding in your own space, in your own town, and highlighting that stuff. Is, you know, you meeting with Shade Tree, you meeting with some of the girls, some of the ladies that ride, or you doing press run, and even with how do you call this gentleman? He's out here too in New York. He's in Jersey. He rides Harley's Marvel Kid.
Oh, Marvel Kid.
Marvel Kid. So we're seeing a lot of that transition. How do you feel about that? And what do you think about that slow transition? Even Chase, for example, he does press runs as well. You're seeing either when he can't go, he sends Bo kind of thing. It's not the same YouTube or motorcycling YouTube as it was maybe a year ago, 2 years ago. So,
it used to be where you could just get away with doing just a motor vlog in your own space, and that was it. Do whatever crazy thing you got going on. But now is motor vlogs are so saturated, and people are wanting their favorite creators to meet up with their other favorite creators that they watch. And the thing about the motorcycle community is that we're so small and we're kind of slow to take off compared to like the tech or some of the entertainment portions of YouTube. Mm-hmm. So now you're starting to see all these creators link up and collaborate and make content together. And now they're sharing audiences. And that's kind of a thing that's been going on, like with, you know, as far as the muscle bike scene. You got Shade Tree, Her Two Wheels, Marvel Kid, Bo, Chase on Two Wheels, and then the sports bike era, you got 650 Eve.
Yep.
You got Fast Lane. You got back when I was still watching a lot of motorcycle content, you had Snoo J. Like you had all these different motovloggers collaborating. But the space is different. And 2 years ago, I don't think you really saw motorcycle manufacturers doing like press events for YouTubers. It was still kind of a private party to journalists and magazines. And now they're realizing like, okay, we have to start including YouTubers in this because their audiences are so huge. Of course, a lot of it's the same people that read magazines, the motorcycle magazines, and listening to like the big publications. But now it's like we have our own space and we're able to offer content in a different way. So this is ever changing, and I still feel like we're at the bottom level of it. Like we're still at the bottom. Yeah. Despite all the content that's been pushed out, we're still at the bottom.
Well, I think there's a stigma when we're talking about content creators. It's a perfect transition to this part of the conversation. The fact that you mentioned that prior, maybe 2 years ago, they didn't have content creators invited to these events. I think the notion of what motovlogging stood for, what we did, was pretty narrow, and I don't think it was favorable into certain people's eyes. So the reason I'm saying that, I don't want to go into as to why, okay? I think two creators were pretty instrumental in changing that tone. I could be wrong. If you guys are watching this, you could comment below, let me know. I think Eve was a instrumental person that kind of changed that rule. He started journeying outside of his own baseline to other people, to ride with other people or collab. His collab was never really about shout outs. It was more like jumping in different scenes and become known in your area kind of thing. And Chase has always had a different look on motovlogging. I think he started pretty much normal doing it, and I think as he transitioned to making it more of a thing for living, his outlook on it kind of changed, and you could see that in his workflow. Now, not to kind of stay on that too much, the point I'm getting at is how our press people, professional press people, are taking on you. So you're talking about journalism, went to school for journalism, right? Are seeing YouTubers jumping into that space. What's been your experience, and how do you see it impacting? And why are you smiling?
It's a good question. I think I want to say I've mentioned this on Instagram before, but continue your question.
Yeah, no. That was the top off, really. I just want to hear, how do you feel that? And because I haven't been to any press runs, hopefully that would change in the future. But if it doesn't happen, it's all good too, because I'm still finding my footing into what I want to do, where do I want to go. But you're in that space, so I can get your take, your opinion. How do you see the YouTube content creator scene merging with pro press people?
Well, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you this. When just to show you, just to, I guess, visualize the difference between a journalist and a YouTuber. When I went to the Indian motorcycle event, the biggest difference was, I think in our event, they had three of us. They had Her Two Wheels, Blockhead, and they had me. And they had, I think the rest were journalists. And the journalists, they were cool. Everybody was just super nice. Okay. But we were all recording every single moment of that ride. And the journalists was just like standing around.
Weren't they doing notes and stuff? I would assume they were taking notes.
Some of them would like take, they might write something down, like a word or two, but they weren't like, it was just different. And they had one guy that was doing some GoPro stuff. And when I went back and watched it, I was like, yeah, you can tell that they're not used to doing this form of content. And when I talked to one of them, he was just like, yeah, we normally don't do any video. We kind of just like get the pictures from the event that they give us from like when they do like the press photos. Okay. Like when we'll set up for like a shot on the route, and we'll each go up one by one, and then they'll take photos of us. And he said we normally just use that for our articles, and that's it. But we were all like filming like B-roll and filming getting on and off the bike and filming the moments that we were doing, because it was more than just the bike, it was the experience itself, and we told that story from that perspective. But yeah, it was just completely different. Like it was fun and they were nice, but it was definitely like I almost felt like I didn't belong to be there. But Indian nor the journalist made it feel that way.
So here's the thing. What I can completely assure you of that's happening. So Ducati had a press event recently, and Chase actually went in Cali. And you have the 44 Teeth guys actually went there as well. And you also had Josh Herron was there. So you're starting to get a mix of things. So for me to say this, where I'm going with that statement is that by next year, you're going to see a whole new trend of press people showing up. Either they're going to hire newer, younger group of people. Because what I think us content creators or people that are passionate about motorcycles and filming content, there's an organic aspect that comes into play when someone is vlogging it, as to someone taking notes and writing an article on a site later. And I think that professionalism is really cool, and it's something that's great to see when you're professional journalism. But I think the human aspect of someone that you feel like, oh my God, I see him on YouTube. I saw his Instagram page, and you feel like you're more connected to that person. It's almost different. It's almost like seeing Rossi in MotoGP. It's like, oh yeah, he rides Yamaha. That's great. But then the dude that lives in your neighborhood that has R1 has almost a higher impact. He's going to like night runs with people, and he's raving about the bike. It's street riding. It's a different aspect. I'm not saying that one is better than the other. It's a different aspect, and I think more people are starting to be. We're moving forward. More people are more in tune with like social media aspect, and just like because you feel like you're just part of it. You're not separated from.
It's relatable.
Yeah, exactly. So now. Transitioning to that, tell us a little bit behind the scenes. A lot of people show press run stuff all the time. Some of the photos looks amazing. Even some of the stuff that you have up, that you've shown of that they taken professionally. All of those always look pretty amazing. But nobody ever talks about the behind the scene. What goes into it? I know there's like a pre-press event that you guys talk and take notes. They tell you about the bike, and these are the things that nobody sees, and these are some of the things I'd like to hear about, actually, if they're interesting enough.
I tell you, there was nothing that we couldn't record while we were there. Mm-hmm. But obviously, if they're doing a presentation, you don't want to sit there and like, hey, I'm vlogging or whatever. But we definitely could have recorded a lot of that stuff. It wasn't that it was private. Basically, when you get there, and for both events that I went on, Indian and Harley, they paid for every single thing.
Okay.
All we had to do was just show up, get on the flight and show up, and they handled everything. When you get there, they have like a press, like a presentation where they tell you about the bike and why they did this, why they did that, and they show you all the features and stuff. Kind of, it's like an extended, I won't say like demo ride where they show you how the bike works, but you're sitting down and you're eating and basically learning about the bike and why they did what they did. And I think at both, I don't know about Harley, but I know at Indian, they had some of the engineers there.
Okay.
So we were able to talk to them, and there was one guy there that pretty much talked about how he knows every single boat, the length of the boat, what style of the boat is. He's basically taken this bike apart so many times during the build process and the testing, and he was just going into how passionate he was about the bike. But it was just interesting to hear him talk about all the ins and outs of the bike. And at the Harley event, we rode with some of the marketing people. All of them are riders from both events. These weren't people that are just like sitting behind the desk. These are people that are actually riding the bike. These are people that have personal bikes. Like everybody there on both sides were all passionate about riding. But yeah, like I said, you get there and they teach you about the bike and everything. And the next day you go on a ride. The Harley event was a lot different, and we could talk about that later on in the video, because it wasn't just you get on the bike and ride. They were teaching us how to ride in the dirt, so it was completely different. But they all have that initial press event. You fellowship and meet everybody, and the next day you just go on a ride. But of course, both of them are set up where they have like people that block off the road when you get to certain points. So you try to keep the pack together. It's not like you're all just riding out on bikes. You have like trucks behind you and stuff to hold your gear and your camera stuff, and if something happens, there's somebody there to help you. Like some of the areas of the roads are blocked off by police when you're doing photo shoots and stuff. So it's a lot of it is riding, where you're just straight up riding, and there's portions of it in that big ride where you have to do media stuff. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of fun.
So here's the magic question for me. Since they do like the post press work and kind of explain to you about pretty much everyone that's there about the bike, do you ever feel like there's certain things that they would prefer you not to say, or anyone that's there that's not ideal, even though they might not say it? Or let's say if you felt like, oh man, if I said something that I really did not like, maybe I won't be invited to the next thing, kind of ordeal. But I don't think it's that way. But I just have to ask, because this is YouTube. Everyone's gonna be like, yo, they got paid, they got flown out, and everything they said is positive. So we're gonna get that. So you tell me.
No, absolutely. That is a fantastic question, and that is I got into a slight squabble with some journalists. That's why I laughed at what you said, because not any of the people that I was with, but there are some journalists that said that YouTubers have an incentive to say good things, because if not, we won't get invited to the next event. And part of that is true. However, there is a way to be critical of something and not just say, "Oh yeah, this bike's amazing." But I will tell you, any bike that I get on, I'm gonna find it amazing because I just like riding motorcycles. But there is a difference in, like, okay, this bike is underpowered compared to its competitor, or this bike just breaks down with me on it. So when I went to the Indian event, they didn't say what we could and couldn't say. That wasn't even in the conversation. And the same thing for Harley. However, somebody at the Harley event basically mentioned, like, I'm not coming to this event if I can't say what I want to say. And they were just like, well, we wouldn't ask you to do that. Basically, like, our bike is going to sell itself. If you have something negative to say, then say it. And there was nothing negative to say. But when I went to the Indian event, somebody else, I don't want to say somebody else, people did mention. So somebody, one of the publications posted like their version of the event, and somebody commented in the thing, the video was like, "Oh yeah, this is from a real journalist, not some YouTuber that gets paid and wined and dine." And I was like, dude, we went to the same event. They got the same treatment that I got. What are you talking about? Like, it was free for them too. Like, but anyway, basically they were saying, like, YouTubers, again, we can't give a favorable review. And I was like, dude, I literally mentioned in my video, my bike had it, my Chief that I was riding, it had an engine light on it. And I mentioned it in the video. I was like, it had an engine light. So other than your bike completely breaking down, what's the worst thing that could happen on a press ride? You get an engine light. So I was like, I mentioned in the video, like, I got that engine light, and I said, I also asked the engineer, hey, what's this? And he explained what it was. It was like, it was an oxygen sensor that basically threw the bike off.
Okay.
And the one that I was on, I think it was the 116 stage 2, the 116 cubic inch with this different setup on it. And basically, as we went up in the elevations, it threw the oxygen sensor off. And I mentioned it. I was like, I'm not gonna not mention it. And they didn't ever say, like, oh yeah, you can't say that. So, and then the Harley event, basically the Pan Americas, they did the job. One of them did, like, overheat, and but they did mention to us that it was a pre-production model. So, I mean, there's nothing that happened that we weren't allowed to say. So I'm not gonna say that wasn't before YouTube, that wasn't a thing with, like, journalists and magazines and stuff. But as far as the ones that I went to, it was kind of open season.
Wow. All right, but just before we carry on, I just want to kind of mention a couple of people that's tuning in. Guys, if you're just tuning in now or you're watching this later, if you're just on here, it doesn't cost you anything. Definitely hit that thumbs up. It's going to help with the algorithm. I'm just going to chime in some other people that just joined. Red One Motovlogger has been a long time since he's been around. What's up to you, sir? OCR Migs here a little bit earlier. Thank you for tuning in, dude. I appreciate it. I know you're probably at work. The Iron Shepherd's here also, and NYC Street Triple. And yeah, that's it right now. All right, guys. Just gonna bounce back to the conversation. I just wanted to make sure that I acknowledge you guys while you're there. I am seeing the chat also. It's kind of this whole thing going on here as I'm doing this. So just kind of bounce back to what you're just saying, that I think that's pretty cool. I think what's weird that people tend to not understand, I think from a business aspect, that anybody that's working in a professional world, they would understand this. If we go to any event, whether it's for a motorcycle, helmet, or whatever it is, it's always going to be perfect, guys. Very few chances that things are not going to be perfect. You have a group of professional engineers that are there. They put the best of the best. They've ridden those bikes. They check the tires. You're basically using a bike at its optimal peak, and someone's there in case something were to go wrong. So it's very hard for someone to go to one of these events and be like, oh, this was crap. You know what I mean? I'll give you a great example. You guys know I'm a big Ducati guy. I like Ducati motorcycles, and I'm not one of those that's going to hold anything back and tell you if everything is great or if it's not. Out of my bikes, the Street Fighter is perfect. My Monster's perfect. I've had a lot of issues with my Hyper. So just to kind of explain this, the reason why I'm going to this direction is that I know after you do your press runs, every now and then, like for Indian, they ended up letting you borrow a bike for several months. I think this is where the most important part of a press run kind of leads someone to being able to borrow a bike. I don't know what's the process to kind of do that. I don't know what ends up happening, why they allow you to do that, which is great. But I think after living with the bike for a bit, even if it's 30 days, even if it was 2 months, there's not a professional there. There's nobody to explain to you why the slide is on, why is this going on. I think this is the best thing. So walk me through that and tell me, well, I wouldn't say tell me, I'd say just explain the process. Basically, they drop off a bike, and I'm assuming they tell you you can just ride it, just don't destroy the bike.
Yeah, so I was actually, the way I even got the press bike, when you go to these events, you build, just like anything else, you build a network list of people, like people that you can call and email and stuff. So I basically asked them for one. I was like, hey, can I get a press bike? I'm doing this thing. And I was going to Dallas, because it was either that or I was going to ride my own bike. And they're like, sure. So they send it to me. The way it works is they get your address and they say, hey, it's going to show up at your doorstep at this point in time. And you sign paperwork similar to what you would do at a demo day. Don't wreck it. It's that simple. And even then, there's like, hey, if something happens to it, there's like, hey, as long as you're good, that's all that matters. It's not necessarily about the bike. Obviously, they don't want the bike wrecked, but if you wreck the bike, they're not gonna like be upset with you or anything. I mean, because that's the whole point of having insurance, right?
Yeah.
So when I got the bike, I got it, and it was actually a press bike that somebody else had. Somebody else that was on the press, the actual chief press event with me. And when he saw me posted on Instagram, he hit me up and was like, hey, is that the one that I had? And I think he asked me something about like there was a scratch on one of the bags or something. I was like, oh, yeah, is that? And he's like, oh, that's the one I had. And he did like this big ride on it too. But when you get it, it's pretty much like free reign. You can do whatever you want with them. Obviously, you don't want to trash someone else's bike. Mm-hmm. But I made a video where it was like, how far could the bike go on a single tank of gas? And people were like, oh, you shouldn't do that. Somebody, they say if that was my bike, I would never let you borrow another bike. And I was like, well, good thing you're not a motor manufacturer, because they're perfectly fine with it. They're happy that I did it, because I was answering a question that so many people had, which was the gas range on the bike. But I rode that bike from Alabama to Dallas. I put like 1,700 miles on it in a weekend. There's no limit to how far you can ride them. Obviously, it's not like it's a luxury bike like a Superleggera or something like that, where it's like, you probably shouldn't be putting miles on it like that, but I'd imagine I actually think that would be a pretty good video. Somebody doing like a 2,000-mile trip on a Superleggera in one weekend. That would be crazy.
Well, but that would be costly.
Yeah, it would. That's what I'm saying. Like that would be kind of crazy, because it's just is something you don't see every day. But yeah, once you get these bikes, man, it's they ship them to you and you ride them, you make content on them, and you give it back. You know, I think I had that bike for like a month. And they sent somebody back to get it, and I was like, "Damn it! Now I got to give it back." And I made content on it, and there was nobody to tell me, you know, how it works. It just a bike just shows up, no manual, just a key. Bike, wow. Here you go. That's literally how it worked, and that was it. The people that they delivered is just random people, like as a random truck delivery person. So. It doesn't show up, at least in this case, it didn't show up in like a fancy Indian truck. It's literally on a guy's pickup truck in the enclosed trailer.
Oh, wow. So it was like a private person.
Yeah. It was a private guy.
Well, that's the beauty about it.
I have it in the video. It's not secret. It's not a secret thing. I have it in my video.
Yeah, I seen that video too. I thought it was like an employee. I didn't interpret it as if it was somebody like a private person, but I guess it was probably a contractor, probably.
Yeah, that's a contractor.
That's the beauty about content creators joining that market. I feel like, especially so. Yes, this is the beauty of it, but I feel like people with the walks of life similar to yours and some other pro content creators. There's like a tier for me when we're talking about YouTube motorcycle content creators, because you have all styles. You know, you have your wild and rowdy. You have the racers. You have people just doing like wild shenanigans for to go viral and stuff. But here's the thing. A professional journalist would not do that test you did, where everyone complained about. And that's the relatable part of it. You know, it's something like a regular person would want to know. What if I'm going to buy an Indian Chieftain, can I ride it from New York to California? It's something, I mean, people don't really think about it in that manner. They're just thinking that you're abusing the bike. But realistically, it's something that a regular person would really want to know about. So it's a different approach. You would never catch a professional, like a seasoned, I wouldn't say professional, because I would consider you guys just as professional, just the different walks of the same path, is that you wouldn't catch them doing a test like that. They would tell you, hey, you get 30 miles per gallon. They're going to be cut and dry on that.
Yeah, they're well, not to cut you off. So,
no,
somebody mentioned what makes well, I guess I asked the question on Instagram. What makes a journalist different from a YouTuber or a motovlogger? And of course, journalists went to school for journalism. And I was like, dude, they're reading off the same specs as a YouTuber. No disrespect. They're straight up reading the same specs of a YouTuber that they're getting off a press release. But what makes a YouTuber different to me, or at least in this current state, until they do whatever we're doing, is I'm able to tell you how I feel from a relatable perspective. And they're doing the exact same thing. They read what the press event says, and they tell you how they feel when they ride it. So I was like, what's the difference from that in a YouTuber? I'm riding a motorcycle. It's not like I just started today. Hey, I'm going to ride motorcycles and I'm at a press event. No, I'm combining my riding experience with everything I've done up to this point and giving my perspective on it. So, I mean, yeah. I'm not just going to tell you it's 30 miles to the gallon. I'm going to find out.
It's a weird transition because here are two journalists that I really like also outside. So 44 Teeth, of course, you guys know Barry Van Grumble, right? He was a regular motovlogger, and then he started his whole brand, 44 Teeth. His journalist style and his partners, very comical, really good stuff, and it's super really very witty, right? So we're seeing slightly a lot of that stuff. As we progress, you're going to start seeing the regular journalists kind of skew a little bit closer to what you guys do. But I definitely think those were some really great points, good information to kind of give people just to get a general idea and stuff like that. So entering any one of those press ones, do they just reach out to you, or you kind of they spot your channel and then they reach out to you kind of thing, or you reach out to them?
I tell people all the time that these companies, in this case, Indian and Harley, they are watching more videos and more channels than people think they are. They think that just because they post a video and it gets 10 views that people aren't watching. I promise you, these companies have teams, because I'm telling you, like you have said, it's not the same as just somebody. It's just a motovlog and nobody sees it. There are teams dedicated to this stuff, just watching content and picking people. But as far as how I got picked, I truthfully think I got lucky, and I say that because the Indian Chief, when that bike first came out, I drove 3.5 hours just to get to the dealership to ride the Indian Chief. I found out that they had one on demo. This is after maybe a week after they announced the bike, and the dealership said, hey, I got one on the truck. And I was like, shit, I got 3.5 hours to drive. I got to go get this test ride. So I went down there, and I was like, I don't like doing test rides on demo days because there's so many people. You're trying to get access to the bike. You can't get shots you want. And this was the first time I've had a dealer say, hey, here's the key, go for it. Like, there's no safety thing or nothing. They just give you the key and you go. And I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. So I did all my little shots. Well, actually, no. What was happening is that the rain was going to drown out the event, because if it's raining too much, they won't let you ride because safety. So luckily, I wanted to ride the new FTR. They had the carbon and everything. I was like, crap, I got too many bikes I want to ride. So I was like, let me at least get the Chief ride. And I got that ride. And that video turned up for like 50,000 views for me. But it almost didn't happen because it started raining on the test ride.
That was one of your first virals, right? Where you're sitting sideways on the bike. I could see it a little bit blurry in the back. I've seen that video too a couple of times. I think that was one of your takeoff. Where slow after that, you were consistently getting steady, a couple of thousand views every single time after that. Yeah. And
my friends went with me on that ride, and they started to, like, one of them turned around because he's like, I'm not doing this. It's raining. Then the other two eventually broke off, and I was like, it's storming. I could easily just turn around and just go back. And then I was like, something told me, Brandon, you're already wet. Just get the dang video done. So I did it. I was riding in the rain, man, like something I shouldn't have been doing, like on a bike I never even like been on before. And I know, I mean, it's a cruiser, but it's a bike that I didn't know. And I was giving it beans. I was like, I'm doing this like it's dry out here. And I got back, and my fiance, she was there to get shots of me like as I was riding through. And basically that video, I think, got so much attention off just the impressions video because the bike was new. I think it pulled like 40,000 views. And then when I came off the actual compile thing, it had like 90,000 views. And then basically Indian was like, okay, we can't ignore this.
Oh, wow.
So they hit me up, and it was like, hey, we want to do an actual press event. Can you come? And I was like, dude, I got to go to work. So luckily my job let me off with like 3 weeks notice, and I was able to go to the event. And I truthfully think that event, that test ride, is what got me in the door to the press event, and then eventually get invited to the event for Harley Davidson, because they saw I was at an event with journalists, with people like Blockhead Moto and Her Two Wheels, combine these channels. Like, as far as the YouTubers go, I was the smallest YouTuber there. And the amount of subscribers, of course, we all share subscribers, but the amount of collectively, the numbers we had, it's like 500,000 subscribers. And I was there at the time with only like 18 or 17,000 subscribers. So being on that playing field, all from a test ride, because I decided to drive 3.5 hours just to get a maybe. I was just going to just get shots of the bike. I wasn't even expecting to ride the dang thing. And I took a chance, and it paid off. That slow burn, like you said, it at that point, one thing just took off and turned it into what it is now.
Well, shout out to you, man, because me riding 3 hours away for a test ride is, I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd make it.
You know what? I'm gonna tell you this. It's not my first rodeo. The very first time I drove 3.5 hours to ride a bike was the Ducati XD launch.
You're still drooling after
first
that.
One.
You're still drooling after that bike. I've seen so many videos of you mentioning this.
Dude, listen. I got a picture on my wall right now of that bike.
Man.
I drove to Alpharetta, Georgia. This was the first time they brought the bikes stateside from the press events where people could actually ride it. 3.5 hours, something like that, to Alpharetta to ride them, and I've been hooked on it since. So I'm always down. Like, if there's a bike I really want to ride, I would drive to do it. I've driven for the XD Oval. Prime example, when the Indian Challenger came out, they had the bike on the truck at Birmingham, Alabama. It's like 90 minutes. So 90 miles to drive. So about an hour and a half. I drove, went to the dealership, and the guy was like, I'm not letting anybody ride. And basically, the story. So I was like, well, crap. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to get some B-roll shots of this bike, get some impressions of it. And, of course, that did well. And then he said, well, listen, you can't ride it this weekend, but I'll be in Tennessee the next weekend.
So you went to Tennessee to ride the bike?
I drove 4.5 hours, Mike.
Wow.
4.5 hours
Holy
to ride
shit.
this bike.
You know what I realized right now, speaking to you? I think I'm a little bit spoiled, man. Nah, because you know what it is? I'm just so comfortable. Like, I'm like, yo, I'm not going more than 40 minutes away for.
I mean, we're all comfortable in different ways, but this is just something that I knew I had to do. Like, I knew I had the opportunity to be one of the first people to get, because there was no, like, when I put my Indian Chief video up, I want to say I got the first impressions video up, but I was second getting the actual test ride of the bike up. But the Challenger, I think I was number 2 as well. But I just knew, like, this is something I had to do, and I drove 4.5 hours, did the test ride, and I came back like that, and that was it. And I had the video up the next day.
So, you know, what's so funny? That's one thing that I struggle with. Like I said, maybe that I'm a little bit spoiled. It's very hard for me to go do test rides and then do reviews of them. I feel like you're in such a confined space, and it's like you're riding with a lot of people. And maybe I'm just overthinking things when I'm producing content. It's like, you know, I want to make it grand. I want to capture certain drone shots. I want to do certain B-rolls. I feel like I'm holding people back. So I kind of shied away from doing those. I did one for a lowrider S, and it wasn't it wasn't a great experience. I think sooner or later I'm going to tell that story. I think the video didn't even do well really because I don't think people that watch me or enjoy my style of content would ever picture me on a Harley or whatever. But just to say that, what I'm getting at is YouTube and YouTube struggles being a content creator and producing motorcycle content. Speaking from my perspective, it's a tough grind only because it's niche. That's one part. The next part is if you're not willing to do certain things, like you said, you're driving 4 or 5 hours to do a test ride. It's gonna make that challenging. If you're not doing certain vulgar or out of line, out of pocket things, you won't pop kind of thing. You won't take off. And again, I kind of refuse to cross those lines myself.
Same.
Tell me a little bit about you doing YouTube and you kind of, doing in between your professional life and then you working on doing content. Like the other night when I messaged you, like I was editing so late I didn't get a chance to email you back kind of thing. It's the same thing for me. It's like I do my regular office job and then I spent my little bit of time with my wife and then I do my little bit of time walk my dog and then I cut my sleep a little bit shorter to cut content for people that barely watches. So walk me through that, man. I'd love to hear your process. Oh, wait, right before we do that, before he answers, you guys that are watching, you better freaking hit that thumbs up, man. It doesn't cost anything. I'm not taking any money out of your bank account, but it helps with the algorithm. It helps the channel. So hit the goddamn thumbs up, okay? All right, cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was looking at the like ratio. So far, we got 16 people watching and 16 likes. So we're looking good. So
I'll take that
so far. I struggle with this still. I work 8 to 5 every day, Monday through Friday. Essentially, I'm a system administrator. I sit behind the computer all freaking day.
Exciting.
I've been there like, it's totally exciting, man. I've been there like 10 years. It's not that I don't respect that kind of work. It's just I know for me as a person that as creative as I feel and as creative as I think, it's just not what I feel like I want to do for another 30 years. So YouTube is my outlet. Some people say like, well, not some people, a lot of people say like riding is their outlet. For me, creating is my outlet. Whether it be putting a video up or just turning your camera on, I just like filming. I like creating stuff, putting something together, taking a bunch of pieces and putting something together. I love doing that. But when I leave work at 5 o'clock, I'd be lying if I say I come here and sit at my desk and edit every single day. I don't. I like you. I love spending time with my significant other. I just like sometimes I like sitting on the couch and watching an episode of a TV show, man, or just listening to music or watching some videos. Or I used to be a big gamer back in my high school days and right after college. And then what happened? I bought my first motorcycle in 2012, and it's been gaming for me has been downhill ever since. But I still do it, and it's an outlet for me. But I get home at 5, try to spend some time with my significant other, try to eat something, or if I'm cooking or doing household chores, cleaning up, cutting grass. It's not just sitting here editing. And then when you go to edit a video, you put your heart and soul into it, and then you get like 500 views, and you're just like, all that effort.
Oh, man, I know those roads all too well.
Yeah, you put all that effort into that, and then you die at the mercy of a thumbnail and a freaking title. Yeah, I mean a thumbnail and a title. No matter how good your video is, you live and die by a thumbnail and a title.
Guys, that's a small gem that Brandon is dropping right now. I'm gonna let you get back. Small gem. I know you guys are probably looking at this or just listening to it in the car or whatever. So on YouTube, doesn't matter how great your video is, the quality, 4K, blah blah blah. If your title and thumbnail does not hit, you could go screw yourself. Okay.
Yeah, and of course there's more to it. Like I mentioned in a video where I felt like I was in a competition with some of the bigger YouTubers, not in the sense where I want to beat them, but I know that for me to be at their level, me to have the lifestyle that they have, to me, for me to have some of the opportunities that they have, I have to be better because I have to get a reason for people to click on my videos the same way that they click theirs. I have to be them,
Yeah.
or I have to be doing something to that, I have to have some of their qualities or do something to gather the attention like that they're gathering. And some people took it the wrong way. I was like, no, dude, these are my friends. These are my lifelong friends. But at the same time, it's like, I understand that for me to get to a certain point where I want to be, like, I want to be able to try to do this full time at some point. I have to do things differently than compared to what I'm doing. And the gateway to your video is a thumbnail and a title. And when you think about it, when people don't understand why that's so important, the thumbnail and the title, I say, okay, when you get on like Netflix or Hulu, or you're sitting there flipping the TV channel, I don't know who has cable these days, but how long does it take you to just pick something that you're watching if it's not something that you're already used to? You might say, oh yeah, I got on Netflix or Hulu and I watched episode whatever of my show. And I'm going to go, okay, did you swap to something else? And if you did swap to something else, how long did it take you to pick what you wanted to watch for you just flipping? Or for instance, when you get dinner or something, because my spouse and I, we like to like watch Netflix while we eat. So, sometimes we might flip for like 2 or 3 minutes before we pick something. When you think about it, it's the exact same thing with YouTube. You'll sit there and you have like 100 subscriptions or people you're subscribed to. You're not going to just start at the top and just watch them all the way through.
Yeah.
If you do that, you're a freaking psychopath. You're not going to do that. You're going to pick
true.
the one with the most appealing title and thumbnail. And that's just how it is. So when you think about that, as far as a content creator, what I've changed, and I'm still experimenting, I'm still trying to figure it out, rather than go into creating a video as of course, I'm always trying to make the best video I can. I never compromise on making the best video, but I'm looking in terms of, I'm not making a video in terms of, I'm making this video for the audience. I'm making my thumbnail and my title for the audience, if that makes sense. Because I know that's what they're looking at first. They're not looking at the video. They haven't even clicked on the video. They're going to look at that title and go, I don't want to watch that. Keep scrolling. Oh, that thumbnail is, what is that? Okay, keep scrolling. And that's just where we are. So I've changed my frame of thinking to, I'm making a really bomb video, but I'm going to make an even more bomb thumbnail and title, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that's the gateway drug to not only your audience, but getting new people. And I've been learning a lot on how YouTube recommends stuff. I used to be upset like, oh, YouTube, the algorithm is against me. But when I really dug into the analytics and stuff, I realized I'm just not making the stuff that folks want to see. And that bothered me. I got really upset about it. I was like, dang, like this is what they told me they want to see. And when I make it, I don't get clicks on it. And I was like, okay, so what do I need to do? And then that's when I started digging into it, like, oh, okay, YouTube, it's not showing my video to people. It's showing it's showing people the videos that they want to see. Yeah. Right. And I can't remember the quote. It was like, YouTube doesn't show videos to people. YouTube shows people to videos that they want to see. And that's the thing that a lot of people get confused about when they see us as content creators. Just like, we're doing every single thing. You're doing every single thing. You're your marketing person, your editor, your creator, your content creator. You're the person funding everything. You're every single part of this. You're every single part of Clutch First, right? Yeah. And also,
lucky for me, my wife is part. She does a lot of heavy lifting, also.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you two are doing everything, and in most cases, the people that are commenting in the chat, Fireblade and Donna and everybody else that are content creators, you guys are the person that's doing everything. So you have to like look at it from a business perspective and a creative perspective. Because I was telling myself, I talked to one really popular creator, and he asked me straight up, like, he's doing really well, and he was just like, what do you want out of YouTube? And I was like, I don't know if I want to go full time, because if I go full time, I might not enjoy it as much. It's going to become a job. But then I realized, like, the fact that I haven't treated it as a job, to take the emotional aspect out of it, that I feel like that's hindered me a little bit. But granted, like you said before, our channels together, it's on that slow burn kind of thing, where we're kind of just like, we're going at our own pace, and then at some point something eventually kicks off. But I've changed that perspective. Like, okay, I need to stop treating it as a hobby. What do I need to do to grow? What do I need to do? And that's just where I'm at. Like, just trying to figure it out. So I know there was a long answer to your question.
No, it's a great answer. And if you guys are watching this after, you will pick up some of the gems that he's saying, or he might not sink in now. But again, it's something that's gonna sink in, and you're gonna see that it clicks. Okay, just to kind of talk about this, I made a video about this. Just so I'm clear, like, motovlogging for me now has become more about fun. And the rest of my content has become more methodical. Like, what am I doing? Like, I'm finding the YouTube Shorts super challenging and interesting, because you have to really be methodical. Like you said, you have to figure out what people want to see, how they're going to watch, how they're going to consume it first. And you only have 60 seconds to frame everything and give your thought, and either be funny or be creative, all in 60 seconds. And I think that's a great practice if you want to transition to doing full-time YouTube videos. And for me, I'm kind of like working in reverse. But the reason I'm kind of talking about this, and I've done a video about this a long time ago, and I've deleted it a couple of times, and I felt, should this be something that I upload? Because as you know, in our community, people do these shout outs a couple of years ago. That was a cool thing when you got recognized by someone else that was taking off, that was popping, and then you got a huge surge. And those don't hold the same amount of weight in current times. What I think is interesting in our community, or in motorcycling community, is that, just trying to phrase this right. For example, I'm going to go right back to this thought, but for example, you have somebody like Casey. Everybody knows Casey Neistat and loves him and watches him. Casey was the #1 guy in New York. And I'd say probably still the #1 guy, but pretty low key, but he lives in Cali. If you notice something about Casey that I thought that was very interesting, for a lot of reasons, Casey knew that he wasn't going to be Casey Neistat forever. And he wasn't going to be the #1 guy forever. He's taken it upon himself to be very active about his community or people that's around him. For example, you have your Peter McKinnon, right? Peter was a great content creator, nice photographer. This guy worked for State Farm at some point, right? He was able to acknowledge somebody like Peter, right? Flew him out to New York, somewhat mentored him. And he's done that with a lot of other people out of Canada. He's done that with, what's that young lady also? He's done it with a couple of other New Yorkers. So he's done that, but it's very different from the motorcycling community. The point I'm getting at here is that we don't have, and we don't share the same sentiment where, let's say somebody that's seasoned. We've seen people like ZJ Motovlog disappeared. Downshift 83 kind of disappeared. They were kind of like OGs. We've seen a lot of other very interesting faces and riders, that was potentially going to be big, disappeared into the ether. And I feel like we don't have a place where, for example, Brandon is huge. He's 300,000, 500,000, where you could say, oh, potentially I see my boy Fastlane D on a come up, and I like his creativity. He has potential, and swoop him under your wing and somewhat help guide. I think we live in a very selfish niche environment, as if we don't share audience. We all kind of share somewhat audience, but we don't have that aspect where people can kind of say, hey, I don't need to shout you out. I don't need to help you grow your channel, but I can help you guide you to point you in the right direction. And we all know in life, not just content creation or motovlogging, whether you want to be a millionaire, if you're starting from scratch, you don't know shit about finances, you don't know how to manage your money, it's going to take you decades to kind of break that code. Where if you have like people around you that knows is walk those paths without allowing you to make certain mistakes, it won't take you 4 to 5, 6 years to get there. And I think we don't share that. So what's your take on that?
I tell you, I don't know if it's like that in the sport bike community, but in the cruiser market, it's we tend to talk a lot actually. I have I've been more open to talking. Well, if somebody asks me a question like on Instagram about something, I'm an open book as far as like I'll just straight up tell people you need to do better on this, you need to do better on that, you need to stop doing, you need to do less of this. If you want to do this, this is what you need to do. And I can tell you that the people that I've hung out with at these press events, they've given me pointers on stuff. Some of the stuff I haven't actually implemented yet because I'm still trying to come to gripes with like what you said earlier. What line do I want to cross to blow up the channel, right? But I reached out to one of them the other day and I was like, hey, what do you think about this? And they were like, it needs more drama. Add more drama. I know it's stupid. Add more drama. And I did it and it freaking worked. I was like, oh, so I got to add more drama because this is what people, this is where we are in life. um, but yeah, that's as far as like some of the people that have just disappeared. Yeah. There are people coming up, and the majority of the community is definitely selfish. But like I said, what you said about Casey and Peter McKinnon, and I think I mentioned this earlier about we're starting to do a lot of more collaborations. I know in the cruiser market, you got the Shade Tree Surgeons and the Her Two Wheels. They're all collaborating with different people, and they're open books as far as like what they've done to get to that point. But you still, there's a part of that, like you said, you still have to get in the door. You still have to somewhat be in the room to get access still. And I feel like when you take those big leaps, like when I took it with the cruiser stuff, like with the Chief, that was my entry to get into the door. But it's still it's still hard. It's still hard at the end of the day. You can still do whatever they say do, and it's still not work. Sure. But I think a lot of people when they come into this, the barrier of entry to motovlogging is so much lower now. Anybody can pick up a camera and basically film something, but if you don't have that know-how on what you need to do as far as a YouTube perspective, you can make the best video ever, but if you don't have that YouTube mentality, then it doesn't matter. And those people that are doing it, you know, some of them won't tell you because they feel like it's a competition. Like they think that, oh, just because if I tell you, you're stealing views from me. But shoot, at the end of the day, there's enough views to go around. That's really true. But you have some people that are very stingy. And you have some people that I think, at least the ones that I've encountered, that are willing to at least tell you or guide you or say, hey, if you do this, you can see some results. It may take a minute, but if you do this, you'll be on the right track. And I'm slowly doing that myself because part of it is I want to do this. I just want people to like my video. And then another part of this is I have to make the stuff that people want to see, even if it's stupid. Even if I think it's stupid, they think it's everything because they're going to click on it.
You know what's so funny? That was one of my biggest struggles in the beginning. I always felt like, hey, I'm just going to do what I want. I kept on assuring myself. I think I lost a good 2 to 3 years, solid, I could say, that I wholeheartedly believe I could do what I want if it's something that I liked. And I think that's one of the misguided information that I got early on. Not by a specific person. It was more like in general. You watch anybody, hey, you know, meanwhile, they were actually doing the game. Do what you like, do what you love. It was really, because I really felt like, hey, because like you mentioned, I'm a creative person as well. I like being very creative and having a good time. And I felt like if I do that, things are going to happen. That is completely nonsense, guys. If you're watching this, that's probably the biggest lie that's been told. If you want my honest opinion, to some degree, I think when you get to a certain area in space, you can do whatever you want, and then you'll be successful. Yes, but in the beginning, you have to ride waves. You have to follow the leaders. You have to kind of, get some of that stuff done first before you get there. But not to kind of stay too long on that, what I want to kind of mention is that I think it's really cool. I've noticed that trend as well with the cruiser world. People riding Harleys or whatever. As long as it's a cruiser, the unity amongst you guys, and I don't know if it's you per se, but maybe it's the girls. Cause I've noticed it first with the girls. I've actually done a video in the past talking about how the girls are.
The motovlog.
Yes, I did that motovlogging, and I thought it was a great vlog. It didn't take off or anything. I'm still very proud of it, no matter what. I like what I did, and I've always been the type of person to talk about everyone, whether if it's creative, I'm speaking about them, or if it's constructive, I can talk about them. I don't really care. I didn't really care what people thought. But here's the thing. I felt like all of the girls. You have Doodle on a motorcycle, like you said, her two wheel. I feel like maybe it's a girls thing. It's very easy for them to kind of just. I think when it comes to
they're a minority, man.
Huh?
They're a minority in a man or male dominated space.
But the thing is, they're not even looking at it. I don't even think they're looking at it in that aspect. I think that's what's cool about it, and that's why I did that video to begin with. They're actually just doing their own thing, but they're doing it in a manner. And I've been kind of like digging a hole. I've been working on. I've been like, hey man, let's work with. I even made this attempt here in New York with people that's in New York, and there's just so much ego, so much like. It just didn't work. But I just feel like the women does that so well amongst each other, and I don't see any. They've done like calendars. They're doing all kind of project, and they have a clear understanding that there's enough to go around. And I think that's really cool, and I think it's bled to the Harley world. Like Shade Tree seems to be super approachable. Always been, actually, even when he was very small.
Oh yeah.
So that hasn't changed about him, which is really cool. But and I think that's slowly changing. But the superbike world or superbike motovlogging world or superbike is very different. It's like, man, I'm cool. Fuck you. Go screw yourself. I'm doing this. It's not the same vibe. I don't know if you feel the same, but I'm just saying I don't think it's the same vibe. But and this is why you have a lot of greats fell off and they just disappeared. I think, and personally, I think if it wasn't in that same manner, the whole motovlogging sphere would have been a lot larger. And I think the bigger it gets, the more opportunities, to be honest. Instead of thinking just me only kind of thing. So that's just my take on it.
Yeah, yes, the women, man, they're big on collabing. They're sticking together, like you said, and they found their recipe and they're just hitting it hard, like Queen Sit, Doodle, Her Two Wheels, Lolly. They're nailing it, man. But as far as the cruiser versus the sport bike community, as far as the YouTubers go, I can see some of that. Some of the biggest, I want to say the biggest YouTubers in the motorcycle community were our sports bike people. Chase, 6 foot Honda, Suburban Delinquent, Do It With Dan. All these people are pretty much sports bike people, and not all of them have fallen off, but it's definitely not the same as the market has matured. It's gotten bigger. You got people like Brian 636 up there in Chicago. But as far as collabing, I don't know. I haven't paid attention enough to the sports bike market, but like I said, I can tell you, at least in the cruiser space, it's not all supportive. You have dicks and assholes in every community, but I can tell you the people that are at the top, they're pretty supportive. I don't know. If everybody did collab and work together, it would be bigger. It would be better. But that's just where we're at.
So there are two slopes happening. Cruisers going up, and I feel like Superbike was the space to be in the beginning. Like you mentioned before, you have your Bakers, you have Sub D, I think they're still getting great views also, but I don't think it's the same amount of energy. Do you feel like that's on a decline, or it's just? I think it's probably just running parallel. Whoever had their audience, yeah, they still have them.
I'm gonna ask you this: do you think the sports bike community? Because I'll be honest with you, I don't watch a lot of sports bike content.
Mhm.
You know, I keep up with what's going on, but I just don't like watch like a lot of it. And I'm not gonna sit here and say I watch like a cruiser content. But my question is do you think that sport bike riders are doing the type of content that cruiser people are doing? Whether it be the cross country trips or the crazy bill series or the, hey, I bought this motorcycle, like Shade Tree, for instance. The guy, man, the guy's a freaking, he's amazing, man. The stuff that comes out of Shade Tree's mouth surprises, every single word surprises me. But for instance, he flew across country when we were in Cali for the Harley event. Instead of flying back, he freaking bought a $500 motorcycle and rode it back from California to Florida. Like stuff like that. Like, are sports bike riders doing stuff like that? And that's the question. I don't know. But that's what I'm saying. Like, they're doing crazy stuff like that in our space. And when I say our space, I'm not saying cruiser space, but just the motorcycle community. And like right now the big thing that they're doing is Sportster builds. They're doing crazy stuff with the Sportster, but that's the question that I can't answer. Is like, are they doing crazy stuff like that other than like SmackDowns?
They're not, but
the streets or...
that's a slow transition burn from superbike to cruisers. Them doing builds. I feel like actually I didn't say feel. The superbike motovlogging lifestyle is basically like, look at me, I got the latest and greatest, and I'm building this, donate, and kind of grab. I think that's what, again, so here's the thing. I've always mentioned this, and I always kind of talk about it, and I'm trying to make sure I phrase myself right. Ebe has transitioned that whole market to something else. I don't know if you agree with me or if you disagree. I think everyone kind of felt he didn't do it per se. I think Chase was doing build series first, which was Wreck Bike Rebuild. It started initially as him learning how to work on bikes. Ebe kind of stepped it up, and then you have your Campesi's was doing it. It became like the it thing. Also, I think that group, Superbike and stuff, was the creative aspect. They were doing a lot of things very, very, very lit, very exciting. I think the cruiser space know they can compete in regards to that. Like, I feel like there's a lot of really creative people in the Superbike world. So I think in order to stand out, they decided to go on a different path and do something completely different. Completely different. Even very few people are still vlogging to this day. Dewey Dan vlog every now and then. It's like sporadic. Yeah. He does more car things. Campesi doesn't really vlog as much. It's really just the build series, right? Yeah. Who else? 636, Brian 636. He's more of a stunner. And he
hoodies.
Yeah, he does a lot of play on the people. If you really focus on his content, which is interesting. So I met
him in person. He's really nice.
Yeah. So
he really is.
I wanted to ask this though, and this is gonna be maybe a little controversial. We might have to snip on this. Do you feel like the girls' content are up to par with some of the guys' creativity content? Also, do you think it's more... Wait. Or do you feel like it's more of a sex play where the fact that they're ladies, and you know how it is with simps. If it's a girl...
I'll let you finish.
No. If it's a girl, they're going to quickly jump on there. They're going to watch anyway. And this is not to discredit anyone. There's a lot of people doing some great work. This is just a question, guys. If any other ladies are watching this, it's not a jab at anything. I'm just saying that they're... And again, when I do have one of them on, it's something that we will talk about also. Is it easier? Because it might be certain things that are easier for some guys. Certain things might be easier for some of the ladies. Do you feel like the girls' content quality and production and entertainment value are just as good as the guys? Or it's just... Where do you think it leans?
There's some of the female bloggers that I just can't watch. It's just it's boring to me. Straight up.
Holy shit. There's some men. You just admitted that, dude.
I'm honest. Like I've had some vloggers, female vloggers, tell me that other female vloggers are boring.
Okay.
God's honest truth. So what's entertainment to one person isn't necessarily entertainment to somebody else, and that's not a bad thing. But I can tell you that the people that are in my circle, they aren't using their sexuality as a tool. I don't think they are, but they are capitalizing on the fact that they are women because they are a minority in this space, and they're able to use that influence to get more women in motorcycling. And there are men out there that
I have to stop you. I have to stop you. Do you think it's more men that are watching them or more women?
Oh, 100% men.
Okay.
Men.
All right.
No, men.
Okay.
No, 100%. No, I'm not. No, dude, you're gonna get. I'm a straight shooter. No, it's straight up men. It's straight up men. It's like 99. It's like 99% men, 1% women. Like the analytics on YouTube don't lie. I'm not.
Okay.
No,
all right. I thought you were gonna be like, nah, they're inspiring women to join the movement. I'm like,
no, I do think they're using their platform to try to get more women to ride.
Okay.
But as far as who's watching their videos, mostly it's men. It's men. No, like you said, you got simps.
There's a lot, man.
You got gross men out there, man, that are
simping hard.
You got a lot of gross people out there that watch them for that exact reason. And it's, to me, it's more tough for them to be out there, you know, making videos and their safety and stuff, man. You just got some weird people, but that's yes, 100% more men are watching than women.
You know, I had to touch up.
But I can tell you. Oh no, yeah, man. I told you, I'm a straight shooter, dude. I'm a straight shooter. So,
I'm gonna ask about this. I know you've had a super bike before, sport bike, whatever. I call them super bikes. That's just me. I know you had like a super bike before, and now you just pretty much do your thing with just cruisers, and that's your thing. And you know what? Me personally, in the beginning when I was watching, I'm like, man, how come this guy don't have a super bike and stuff? And I guess I was just looking at it through that lens and stuff. And then more and more, I kind of explored your content and kind of got to know your personality through your videos and stuff like that. And I'm like, damn, okay, this completely fits this. I could see why this is hand in hand. So just walk us through the journey of you going from super bike to just being cruisers. Because I know you love the Diavel, but I think your heart is slowly going towards that Rocket 3. I don't know, man. I see you falling in love with that.
I can afford one. That's why I don't have one. No, so when I first wanted a motorcycle, I wanted a Ninja. You know, you see it in the movies, that's what you want. And basically, when I got older, I realized, oh crap, I got to pay something called insurance. And insurance is too damn expensive. And for me at the time, I think to have a super bike, sports bike, it would have cost me like probably $2-3 grand a year just to have that. And I just couldn't afford it. So basically, I eventually gravitated towards cruisers. That's what my uncle was riding. He taught me how to ride on a Honda Shadow. And when I had enough money, I bought my first bike. It was a 2006 Suzuki M50. And essentially, I learned how to ride on that bike. And I fell in love with cruisers. I realized, like, dang, these things are actually kind of cool. They're fun to ride. They're fast enough to get killed on. And the people that I was riding with all had cruisers, but some of them had sports bikes as well. So eventually I ended up getting my dream bike at the time, my Suzuki M109R. It's big, it's heavy. 100, I think it has like 125 horsepower and like 118 pound-feet of torque. But to sports bike riders, they're like 120 horsepower, 770 pounds. What the hell is this?
That weight ratio is crazy.
Yeah. So later on, I eventually I got an FZ07. Was playing with wheelies and stuff, and eventually I got a not running 2006 Gixxer 600. And it wasn't that I hadn't ridden sports bikes. It's just I just didn't own one. So I got that bike with the sole purpose of flipping it for profit. So I got it back running and everything, fell in love with it. And then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get me a naked bike. So at the time I wanted the GSX S1000.
Okay.
It's the naked version of the Gixxer. And they put the K5, K6 motor in there and had the long stroke on it. And it was detuned, but it was more tuned for torque. And I got that bike. I had the track suit and everything. I was like, I'm going to take this bike on the track. And I ended up wrecking the bike, ran into a deer on the back road, towed the bike
Oh,
out. So I was like, okay, redo. So I still got my 109. I sold the FZ07 by this time. I sold the Jitsu 600. I had the S1000, wrecked it. And I was like, okay, what do I want now? And then I went and got the Indian Scout Bobber. And since then, I've been on this cruiser flow, this muscle bike flow. So, but even when I got that Indian, I had ridden the Ducati, what is that? Was it the Super Sport?
yeah.
I think that I wrote the Super Sport, I wrote the Monster, I wrote the Panigale, I wrote the Diavel, I wrote the X Diavel, I wrote the R1, I wrote the R6. I've ridden a bunch of sports bikes, but I just didn't own one. So the reason I haven't gotten another one, because I always said I would get a project bike. I would get one that's strictly for riding on the track. Basically, the people that I ride with, they don't have sports bikes. They have big touring bikes. One of them at the time, he had the M109R. And the reason they had the M109R is because they had sports bikes and they wanted more comfort, but they didn't want to give up on the speed. So they went to the M109R. It was torquey, it had horsepower. And if it was a bike that if you called a 600 sleeping, you could kill him in a quarter mile. So it's like, this is enough. If you knew how to ride one, you could throw it in the twisties. That's why the XDR was so good in the Rocket 3. With the right person, you can actually throw those things in the curve and you can keep up with a decent rider. So you're not going to outrun a 600 or a 1000, but somebody that don't know what they're doing, they'll be like, well, shit, that thing can get down. But my guy, he had a 1000, and he had a 600, then he had a 1000, then he went to the 109, and now he has a Indian Challenger. It's the same thing. Like, that bike has like 125, 28 horsepower or something, and it has the torque. And he also has an RC51. So, that sports bike itch, once you get exposed to it, is always there. And I have an itch for it that's still there, but at the same time, it's like, do I want a sports bike? Because I know once I go down that rabbit hole, it's gonna be I'm gonna want a 600, I'm gonna want a 750, I'm gonna want a 1000, and next thing you know, I'm gonna be on the track. So like you said, that itch for me is still there. But what it comes down to mostly is that the people that I ride with, they don't have sports bikes. Okay. At least all of us don't.
So it was a natural transition, because you can't be that one guy on like a super bike and everybody's cruising and stuff. It's like nuts.
Man, it gets old, dude. Like, you're sitting there with your hand on your hip, your bike, 4,000 RPMs, a cruiser that we're chilling at 3,500. Sports bike, man, you want to open that thing up and stretch the legs. So you ride with cruisers, you're just like, this is freaking boring, man. I want to stretch the legs on this thing. So, for a few times it's fun, in the city, but when you start stretching your legs and you're going like 200-300 miles in a day on a sports bike, it can be done. But the cruisers, they're sitting over cruise control, feet kicked out, bumping music and stuff, and they're just comfortable. And they get there, they get off the bike and they're fine. And you get off, you're like you clutching, your back's hurting, you feel like cardboard. So it's just a different kind of ride. And I've just bought my permanent motorcycles based off of who I'm riding with.
Okay.
And it's always been cruisers mostly. So
YouTube just happened to be just a thing that's end up working well with that.
Yeah. And plus I really like the look of muscle bikes. I love the XDR. I love the VMAX. The VMAX is kind of a freaking Frankenstein of a muscle bike, sports bike thing. I like the Diavel. I like the Diavel 1260. But I do have an itch for like bikes like the Panigale, the CBRs, the Jitsers. I mean, I do have an itch for them.
So I'm going to have to ask this, right? I mean, we kind of covered a lot of the stuff that I wanted to ask for sure, and I think it's been awesome. But this is your chance, man, to get the grill me back. Before I jump into Q&A and stuff, guys, we definitely, if you guys want to drop any comments down below that we can, or not comments, questions, we'll reply to them. You probably won't see one of us on the screen at the moment when we do happen to do that. But if you guys are tuned in, you're watching, I usually do this pretty much every like 20 minutes, but I've been doing it probably later than that. If you're watching, make sure you hit the thumbs up, or even if you're watching after, hit the thumbs up, leave a comment. It helps with the algorithm. The only way that I could get my channel out of a rut kind of a thing. So that's going to help greatly. But for now, Brandon, anything you want to throw in at me, since I've been grilling you all night about questions and stuff, so anything you want to throw in at me, that's fine. I'll be great.
Do you think you could ever see yourself riding long distance? And if so, what would it be?
So one of my biggest thing about doing YouTube, and I've thought about it a lot, I'm like, one of the biggest adventures I would love to go on once I get enough clout or enough following. I'm either going to get myself a van and I'll wrap it and I'll do my whole clutch first branding on it. And I'll either have a bike that I'm going to do that with to travel and meet other people and ride with other people. Or one of my biggest dreams would be to partner with any manufacturer, and preferably Ducati. Fuck it, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Just as a bike to document the adventure and the ups and downs, or even camp out with it or whatever, from New York to California or probably back and forth. I'd love to do that on any bike, to be honest. That would be something that'd be really cool. That I would feel like my channel has made it if I get to do that at some point.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about simply renting like a Harley? It don't have to be a Harley, but I just know it's a lot easier to rent a Harley.
Okay.
Just do like a weekend. Just do a long ride on one. Not necessarily for content sake, but to just do it and just put yourself out of your comfort zone.
Renting bikes, no, on that aspect. But I don't see myself getting a bike because I've ridden shit. I've done like 500 miles on a Monster in one day.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
oh,
I've done some.
A lot.
We've almost hit other states. Like, it's probably one of my favorite bikes out of their batch. Really, I've ridden that bike comfortably. I've left New York with it. Went to the mountains. Went all the way up to PA. We've
seen a little bit of that.
Yeah, we've gone far. We've ridden far with that bike, and it no hiccups, no nothing. Again, we've ridden hundreds of miles per day. I tend to so what tend to happen is a lot of people interpret my channel as if, oh, this guy ride through New York City. I kind of tailored that content because I thought people would be happy to see New York City and use that as my backdrop, as part of my story and my bikes. Because I never want my bikes to be the sole purpose as to why people watch me. Oh, this guy have a Ducati, blah, blah, blah. Oh, he has an expensive bike, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I want. My goal has always been to create content that people are going to like and say, hey, I like this guy's personality. Because whether I'm on a Ducati, I'm on a fucking Yamaha, whatever it is, I think that's what I want to shine. But I use New York as a backdrop. But we go everywhere, man. Everywhere.
Okay.
So, for sure.
So, what do you plan on doing as far as what's one thing I guess you feel like, or several things you feel like you will be doing this year to try to outside of what you're doing now to try to get that moment of slow burn where it just kicks in. You have that one moment.
So for me, man, I've just been spending.
It's kind of a vague question, but
no. It's a good question. It's something that I think about all the time, and I talk about all the time with my wife, whether it's over dinner, or even when I am, in my office, I'm just working and stuff. I'm like, dang, I got to make this work, because I've never been one of those people that's like started something because it's difficult, and I tap out and just I cannot. As you know, like outside of the motorcycles, those are mine. I bought them for myself. But the equipment and all that stuff can go thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Easily, if you want to really be in the space of where people are competing. I'm not saying that you can't do any of the stuff with like a cheap camera, but when you want to join the space of people that are competent and doing amazing work, you're gonna need the right tools. So that could be costly. So what I've been pondering on is really looking at the space outside of me, not doing things that I really like and enjoy. Like myself, I do my preliminary download of all my content, and then I do a pre-cut, and then I have my wife. My wife is an amazing editor, and she goes over it, and it's like, oh, it's great, babe, and I watch it over. Even on my break, I'm like watching. I'm like, that has to go. Like before, we'd be like, yeah, it's great. I realized one thing, that one of the biggest flaws of my channel and in our whole thing is that I realized my wife is my wife. She's always gonna like what I do. And I'm me. I'm always gonna like what I like. I'm always gonna like what I do because I think it's okay. But is it what people like? You know what I mean? It's like be hypercritical of yourself. Now I would watch something, I'd go back, I'd be like, yo, this gotta go, this gotta be cut, this gotta be cut, you gotta chop, it's boring. People are gonna find this not cool. Even, oh yeah, it's cool, whatever. We take all that stuff out. We just trim down all the fat. It's just kind of thing. So so just to kind of a little bit tailor the question down a little bit further, is just now looking at the YouTube space is different. Every 6 months, every 7 months, every 12 months is very different. I'm making big use of shorts. It's a good avenue. I'm seeing nice little changes. Actually, I'm seeing more sub grows from shorts now than my actual motovlogs. Motovlogs are becoming more of a passion project now. It's like I do it, I like it, I do it for fun. The people that's been here as part of my channel for a long time, they still enjoy them, but they're really not getting views like that. So it's really, the stream is another step. That's doing well. I feel like for a brand new stream, I feel like it's going to the right place. And I'm planning to do maybe a third iteration, whether it's probably like, I have no idea what it's going to be yet, but it's going to be a third iteration. So short stream, and the motovlogging is more like a kickback to the people that's always watching, just because you don't want to throw something out that people are accustomed to seeing. So I'm planning to probably to add 4. So basically frequency of the channel, I feel like uploading one piece of content a week, it's not doing anything. It's basically you're non-existent. Since I've been away, you're non-existent. You'll never hit the algorithm, no matter how amazing your work is. So
I'm gonna tell you this. I don't think uploading once a week is the magic bullet anymore. I think I was like you said, a lie we were told was, and I've had this conversation with some other people too that are actually in the chat. The magic bullet was, or not a magic bullet. We were told that, you know, we should make stuff that we like making, which a part of that is true. We should be making stuff we like, but at the same time, we need to make stuff that other people want to see.
Yes.
But at the same time, I don't think we have to put that pressure on ourselves. And I say that because I've gone like not posted like a video for like 2 weeks, and I just dropped a video and it gets like 20 or 30,000 views. And that goes back to what I was saying earlier, where I had to change how I saw content. When a video didn't do well, I looked at it like it was a bad video. It's not that it was a bad video. It's just simply what people didn't want to see. And I had to say, okay, well, what the hell people want to see?
Wi-Fi network. You might want to check the connection.
Oh my God, Google.
In the Google Home app.
I thought that was your Apple, my Apple
Oh,
Watch.
no, that was Google.
Yo, Google's going well right now. Google's listening to everything.
It says something. I said something along the lines of Google, but no, it's a lot of it comes down to what do people want to see, and that's the challenge that we all have as YouTubers. But I truthfully, I'm not saying don't post once a week, because I've been posting, like I've wanted to increase my upload frequency because I felt like I put way too much pressure on myself last year, where I was trying to force I was relying a lot on voiceover, and while it worked a lot of times, it slowed my upload frequency down from, like, you know, I was maybe getting one video out once every 2 weeks to like once a month, and for me, that's just that's trash. But if you put yourself to that once a week, I think if that works for you, it works. But I'm just saying, just don't necessarily put that pressure on yourself just to get something out, if that makes sense. Yeah, I wouldn't be, because I've seen channels that it doesn't like that rule. That's not like a set in stone rule.
Yeah,
is what I'm getting at. But if you nail a video that's just going to be hot, like prime example. Let's say tomorrow you stop posting for 3 weeks, and then that 4th week, Honda announces a freaking a new CBR 1000, and you just happen to get a video out on it. That video is going to blow up. I don't care how long you haven't posted. That video is going to blow up. And that right there, to me, proves that it's not necessarily about the frequency of what you're posting. It's simply about what you're posting.
Yeah. And catching the wave. That's what I mentioned a little bit earlier. You have to learn to catch the wave and ride it as a starter person or getting into it.
And that's our job to figure out what the heck the wave is at the time.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah.
So anything else you got for me?
No, you put me on the spot there.
Yeah,
I always got questions. I could talk to you for the next freaking 3 hours, man, about those Ducatis and what you've done up to this point, how you manage your time with your family, how do you manage your emotions as far as dealing with this, and your expectations for yourself. I can go all day.
Well, the one good thing that's good for me, man, I would say, for example, I was planning to get rid of the Hyper. I think in 2 streams ago, I said, I'm going to get rid of the Hyper. I'm getting another bike. Afterwards, when I went back in the house, my wife was like, what the hell are you talking about? She is like adamant about like not selling anything. I think she's like a low-key hoarder of bikes. I don't know what the deal is, because to me,
that's not bad.
She was like, what are you doing? We're just going to if you want another bike, we'll just get another bike. You don't need to get rid of it. So that became like a thing. So I was supposed to get, because the Monster I don't ride too much anymore. And she was like, I'm probably going to get rid of the bike. She was like, why? So hence why it's not purposely that I have multiple bikes. It was one of those things like, you should keep them. And she's right to some extent, because the Monster realistically has its own sentimental value, because we've had a lot of adventures on that bike together before my wife got sick and stuff. So I could see to that aspect. And then I thought to myself, I would get rid of the Hyper, because at some point I was like, I'll get a Diavel. That'll be kind of cool. And then I know the tail end of all of it, I want to get a super bike just to close off my, like, a little small collection and stuff like that. And I wasn't sure which bike I was going to get. So, but just to say that, she's super supportive, man. I mean, I can't complain about that. So, but
Absolutely.
I would stay up late in editing. I know most people would probably be like, man, you're doing all this stuff, you're probably not spending time with your family. And add to that, with our contract with Motivation, I'm working way more. So I'm doing business work with them. I'm doing my channel. I'm working. And then we're building our home and stuff. So it's just a lot. And it's very interesting, because a lot of people that watch your videos, they have no idea that 5-minute video you're watching, how much it took out of your personal life to do it. And they don't realize it. You know what I mean? And to me, and the one thing that I do really well, I don't let it get to me too much if something doesn't do well. If it's not very well rated, because I'm one of those people that start looking for answers instead of sticking to like, fuck, this did not work, screw everybody. I'm already, it's already out, 24 hours, 48 hours in. What's the next thing is going to be and how I'm going to tackle it? What should I not do? And if you're not that way, whether it's YouTube or professional, I think I take this from my own professional life in business, because if you want to succeed, you want to do well financially, you're going to have to be that way. If you're going to be the guy that's in just the fucking line, you'll never be that guy. So it's like always looking for answers and solution, just so you can be the next thing. And I kind of push that over into what I do here on YouTube. So
I'm not gonna lie to you. When I post a video, I am very like, how many views did it get in the first 24 hours? And I'm like the video I posted today, I was again going off that recipe that I thought worked in the previous video and today it flopped. I have no idea why. It just was not a video that people wanted to see. It flopped really hard. It's like 9 out of 10 on my list of what my videos rank in the time frame. And this in the same period of time, it's just like damn near 0 at the very bottom. I was just like, dang, that video flopped. But hey, I got it out. Like you said, and this is part of me trying to be better in this year. It's just when I post it, it's out there. And if it flopped, but I got to keep going. Because we put a lot of work into this. But I used to ask people, how much sleep do you get a night as far as your YouTube goes, your personal life, your job? How much sleep do you get?
You asking me? I get a lot of sleep, man. I don't play
with.
Really? Yeah, I sleep a lot, man. I sleep a lot. I think there was a point where I was doing YouTube maybe a couple of years ago. I would stay up late and kind of do it, and I just feel like it's healthier to always sleep, because at least me doing my profession and stuff like that, I'm a little bit more flexible regarding like sleeping and then staying up late and having days off and stuff like that. And again, my wife is pretty supportive, so I'm pretty good regarding that, but I try not to. The only thing that I lack in, I think one thing I kind of gave up on, not that I gave up on it, but I'm sure I'll kind of bring that back, is fitness. I used to be huge, like both her and I used to be big gym rats and stuff. I think that's one thing I removed out of it in order to be productive and be creative. Now, if I was going to the gym as much and stuff like that, it'd be very difficult, which I probably should be doing.
Yeah. I asked that question, man, because I was struggling to come home from work and just sit here for, again, I sit at a computer all day for 9 hours. And then I come home and I sit at a computer for another 3 to 4 hours. It's just like, where do I find the motivation to just keep doing this? for me to do this, and then I post a video and it's like, oh, it just flopped, or it didn't perform to my expectations. And I'm just like, I've been better about it personally, because like you said, we're taking time away from our families, our life, to put this out here, hoping that it does well or inspiring people, and it just like it doesn't pan out. But I think this last year I've gotten at least like 7 to 8 hours, but some days less. But most of the time I get like 7 to 8 hours. And what I've done well at, like I was telling you earlier off camera, was I've done a lot to organize my life and just try to just be better about my time. As soon as I get home, I spend time with my spouse. I do my editing, and like last year, I struggled so much with my editing because I was just trying to make it perfect. It had to be a certain way, and I was relying so much on a voiceover, and I just had trouble putting the pieces of the puzzle together for it to put so much effort into it for it to eventually flop. But this year, man, I done really good at still managing my sleep and my time. But I'm just curious about that, because part of that is the sacrifice that we put into this. So I just want people listening to know that that type of thing goes into it. Of course, your mental and all that kind of stuff too.
Yeah. Oh, the other thing I gave up also, not that I completely gave it up, is it's working out, going to the gym, and video games. You mentioned that earlier. I don't game as much anymore. I'm a huge video game guy. My biggest savior right now is I got to switch OLED. I'm able to play like spurts, like 20 minutes, or probably in bed, before bed, something like that. So, I still have a big passion for playing video games, but it's not, I think I kind of shift that over to make more room for YouTube kind of thing. Because, to be honest, I don't know if I want this to be my full-time gig. It'd be great. But I like creating a lot. And even if this is like full-time, I wouldn't quit my career. But I would do both for sure. So I'd figure it out. But yeah, I took video games out for sure. And I don't game as much anymore. Guys, if you're tuning in, please hit the thumbs up. There's a couple of other people that came in also. Anonymous Bike USA. Who else do we got here? Will Moto. Yeah, Wilf Moto. He actually has done some decal work for me before. Firebleed Pilot. Paul Cedar. I think I'm saying that right. Sorry, guys. Donna Main. Futuristic Viper. He was here also last time. Southern Riders in the building, guys. Who else? I'm trying to make sure I don't get people. Road Glider, I got him. This person's a spam, so he ain't gonna get that shout. The Big Man. All right, I haven't seen him before. Guys, if you're tuned in, or I'm probably just seeing this a little bit after, we're going to be wrapping it up shortly. Guys, if you want to drop any questions for Brandon or myself, hopefully you guys found the stream interesting tonight. I thought it was a very cool conversation, me personally. We have Chrome Throttle, and it's not even really about, I mentioned this in the very beginning, whether it's 10 people here, 20, 30, who knows, in the future somebody else might be watching this. We both do this out of passion. We like doing it anyway. It's always great to speak with someone else that shares similar passion or like motorcycles, no matter what style of bikes. And if you guys are watching this later down the line, you want to see someone else in here. And this is not just other content creators. If you guys just want to join this as well, you could always DM me. You could always have a conversation, and it's always great to just include everyone as part of this conversation. So, So what I'm gonna do, anything you wanna add on, Brandon, before we go? Actually, definitely give him the link of your channel and everything else. That way, it will be in the description. So, you guys definitely want to check him out. Really cool guy. I enjoyed having him on. I enjoy his content as well.
Yeah, so if you guys want to follow me, it's just Brandon Picasso. It's easy to find. I think Chrome and Throttle said Brandon needs Anna slash editor slash producer. Yeah, I would benefit a lot if I had a editor. But I'm one of those people where I don't want to pass it off to anybody just yet. And I'm honestly, man, I'm still learning a lot about editing. I actually enjoy the editing process. It's I like filming and editing, but sometimes it does take a lot longer. That's one thing I can say that I've been doing the past year. It's just trying to figure out how to do stuff faster, how to be more efficient, and not spend my time just sitting here looking at a screen like, how am I going to put this together, versus having it already put together and now I'm just putting tweaks on it. So, yeah.
All right, guys. So I'm just gonna just transition this, see if there's any comments, and then we can kind of start wrapping up. I know Donamain's bouncing for the night. Thank you, man. I appreciate you watching, sir. Let's see here. Okay. All right, just give me a quick second. You guys are just viewing myself back here real quick. Yeah, I am back there. So Brandon will probably be able to see the comments. I'm just going to kind of pull them up real quick to see if there were anything that was interesting that was in the chat during the time that we're chatting. That way we can kind of just go over them, guys. We always like to take a moment and kind of do the comments, only because I think it's just a great way to kind of highlight you guys for being part of the channel and watching. Let's see how fast I could do this now moving forward. It's wild doing all of this stuff on the back end that you guys don't see.
I also want to mention, man, you do a really awesome live stream, because I know there's a lot of work that goes into this.
I don't know if anybody has.
I just want to give you credit where it's due.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. It is definitely a nice amount of work that goes into doing this, but let's see here. But
somebody,
go ahead.
Somebody's asking me. When will I get an Arch motorcycle? Oh man, so I fell in love with the Arch motorcycle when I found out about the brand. If you guys don't know what an Arch motorcycle is, it is one of the most expensive custom American V-twin motorcycles that you can have or buy. And essentially they build it from ground up. It takes like 3 or 4 months, or something like that, from the moment you initiated it. And they customize the bike around you. So the seat, the seating, footing position, everything around that bike is customized to suit the owner. And they make the bike out of a solid sheet of aluminum.
There we go, guys.
It has like a 2,500 cc SNS power plant. But I think the bike's like $80,000. The one I want is the Arch KRTG1. And a dream of mine is to one day, if I'm not gonna say that, I want to own one. I guess I could be even wilder and say I'm gonna own one, but I would like to at least be able to ride one along the Pacific Coast Highway. But I found the brand because of Keanu Reeves. I'm a big Keanu Reeves fan, and I found out that he owned that motorcycle brand, and I just fell in love with it even more.
That's so funny, man. I think pretty much all of us are Keanu Reeves fans, to be honest. You know what's so funny about you mentioned that? Both my wife have seen him in New York, and he's a super normal guy. By the way, guys, I do have the comments up. It's by Anonymous Bike USA about the Arch motorcycle. So now the comments are live. I can't believe I'm doing this so fast. I remember just doing all this stuff. It was just so wild. Shoot. If you guys only could see the amount of tech I have in front of me at the same time, managing all this while I'm talking. So even though you see me look down or look backwards. I'm not being rude. Just I'm monitoring stuff and seeing things all at the same time.
I was gonna tell you, I found the brand Velamaki
Mhm.
because of Keanu Reeves.
Oh
He
wow.
was in he was out on his arch. It was the exact color I want. It was blue, had the red pinstriping on it, had the gold Olin shocks on it and everything. The brake calipers, I think they have like 6-piston monoblock calipers, and they were blue with the red arch logo on it. But I was just like, that is the exact spec I want. And he had this backpack on, and the picture was from a tabloid that was taking pictures of him. I know, very intrusive, but he was talking to some people, and I was like, what kind of backpack is that? When he was riding off, you could see the clamp, but I was like, what the fuck is that? And I literally downloaded that picture, and I zoomed in on it and was just trying to decipher what the heck it was, because it was pixelated. And I was just typing in, like, I had the first 3 letters. I was like, Vel. I was like, what the heck is like Vel? And then I finally found it was Velamaki. I was like, dude, that backpack is cool as hell. And I was like, well, if I can't buy an arch, I can at least wear the gear that Keanu Reeves has. And that's how I have like 4 different things from Velamaki. I fall in love with that brand now. So I'm definitely the bag stalker. I'm the bag stalker.
Let's see here. Anonymous biker USA said yours bag stalker. Yeah. Bud Tsuno. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Yeah, man. What's up? Let's see here. Chrome Throttle mentioned love both of your content, inspire me in so many levels. Keep it up. Thanks, man. Let's see what we got. Here's a question for you, Brandon. When you gonna get that arch? Oh yeah, that's what we just answered. Oh yeah, I guess more and more people just brought that up. Okay, cool.
I really want one, man. It's just that's 80 grand. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a pretty penny, guys, to drop on a bike. I think you need to be a certain place before you can do that.
That's a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised, man, because you can never find any of them used or anything. I would be surprised if there's a clause in there that say you have to sell it back to them or something to keep the value up on them.
You think so?
Yeah, I've looked. There's no, hopefully this never happens, but there's no wreck arch motorcycles. There's none for sale. Like I just wonder, like, if somebody bought one, if they ever wanted to sell it. And I was like, it's probably a situation where you have to sell it back to the company. Hell, I want to say the brake levers on the damn thing is like $2,000 just for the brake levers. Like, it's crazy.
I don't think there's a clause. I think what's happening with them is that that bike is between 80,000 to 100 plus. Whoever buys it, either other celebrities because it's Keanu Reeves, they know him, or other people that's in that bracket, right? That buys that bike, they're not gonna get rid of that bike. It's probably more like someone that has a Superleggera. They keep it because not only you have the value that it's an arch motorcycle, and it's Keanu Reeves. So you could see how that's gonna be 20 years down the line if you have the budget for it, of how that's gonna be a value for someone. So we have another question here by Christian Jimenez, I think. Wish I had someone to support me with the bikes like that. Yeah, man. I mean, find somebody that shares similar passion to you, or at least that respects what you like. Pretty much all relationships are compromised. I mean, I'm not gonna go deep into that, but we both keep each other happy, man. If my wife needs something, she can get it. She don't even have to ask, really. You know what I mean? As long as we're good, we're good. And I think she shared the same sentiment as me. And I don't know. As for Brandon, he has multiple bikes. So I'm assuming it must be something somewhat like that.
I can get a third right now if I want to. So it's the same thing. When you're both happy, it doesn't matter. You support each other in everything you're doing.
See, I'm just grabbing. I'm still scrolling up through a lot of them. Donovan is still shopping for that bike. See, where I'm at, all you see is cruisers as well as sport bike. But my old Monster 1200 was an attention getter. He's out of the stream at the moment. I know he went to bed. He has to go to work probably tomorrow. Yeah, man. I mean, sport bikes tend to run the road out here in New York too, but there's on the island there's a huge market for like Harley and Indian bikes and stuff like that. But when you're out in Manhattan and Brooklyn, Superbike runs the town kind of thing. So yeah, let's see what we got here. Yeah, just a lot of comments, man. Not a lot of questions regarding it. Let me see here. I got here Wolf Moto says, much love, Mike. Glad to see you still around. I stepped away, but saw you live streaming, so I popped in to say hi, man. What up? Yeah, man. You know me. I'm still here, still trying. It's kind of hard to just walk away from something that you're passionate about or you like or you enjoy. So that's me. I guess we'll find out sooner or later if I get beaten by this or if I just win. All right, so here's Fireblade Pilot mentioned here. Every other big sport bike YouTuber auction bikes on Patreon. Yeah, it's a huge business that's feeding a lot of people, creating small companies. I mean, I'm not knocking what people do. I mean, I think it's great if somebody's managed to make something that they're passionate about and make it something that they could feed their family. So shout out to them. But it's not the flow for everybody. So for me, I want to be a creative person. I want to do something that gives me freedom, like being very creative or travel the world. Who knows? Who knows if I might end up down that road, but I don't know. I don't foresee that for myself. What about you, Brandon?
I can see myself down that road. As far as the wreck bike kind of deal, I have some ideas that I want to do, like build a bike.
Okay.
Maybe not necessarily auction it off, but I am a tinkerer kind of person. I'm a Lego builder kind of person. I like taking stuff apart, figuring out how it works. That's kind of the IT person in me. Building finding ways to fix a problem. And for me, I guess in the motorcycle community, like taking a wrecked bike and trying to fix it and bring it back to road standards, that's a lot of, I mean, I've done it. Like when I bought my 600, my Jitzer, it wasn't running. I bought it. The guy, he had it listed for like $3,500. I bought it for $2,500. Had a full header race system on it. Had a race tune and power commander, and I think he had it geared towards acceleration. So I can't remember if he had the sprocket up or down. But the fuel pump had completely rusted out.
Oh wow!
So yeah, when you look inside the gas tank, it looked like a child has splattered paint all on the inside of the tank. So basically, it took me like a month and a half to get it back going, and it was just fun trying to get it going. So, and I ended up selling that bike for $5,200 after only putting like $700 into it. So I was like, oh, dude, this is fun. So now, like, I want more of that, but to me, it's a gateway to riding more bikes. So, okay. Yeah, I can definitely see myself doing it, but not like as far as like the whole big build series, put as many parts on it as I can and getting rid of it. But I like building a personal connection with the bike, riding it, experiencing it and doing reviews on it, and then maybe selling it or something. But it like you said, it just depends on where I end up or what I want to do.
Okay. I have another comment here by Wolf Moto. Way less people ride motorcycles these days. At least it seemed that way up here on the east coast of Canada. Same thing is happening too here on New York. A lot of people I used to ride with, they don't ride anymore, or either they had kids, or some people wrecked. Everybody kind of just, I almost feel like an odd man out where I'm getting more and more motorcycles and a lot of people are just kind of dipping out. But then there's some new crowds happening. Is it the same thing on your way, Brandon?
It's mostly sports bikes. Well, I'm not gonna say mostly. When I started, when I had my sports bikes, there was a lot of people that were riding sports bikes. There's a big scene, and if you go look at my very old videos, I used to go ride in like big group rides, like 200 bikes, and now it's nothing like that anymore. It's the riders are kind of like they either moved away. Some people have not here with us anymore that was riding bikes, and most of the people that around my area are pretty much it's mostly cruisers, but there are sports bikes here. But a lot of them are like Jitzers and Kawasaki's. You don't see like a Panigale or nothing around here, because the only two dealers we have are Harley Honda, and Suzuki, and the nearest Ducati dealership is like 90 miles away. So,
Well, you know what I noticed a trend. I mean, I'm not gonna stay too long on this because we're just answering questions. Is that I feel like Superbike world is like a burning hot fire when you join it, and then you have a couple of things that tend to happen. Either some of the people you knew get hurt, or some people got their bike towed or something like that. Who knows? And then it just, if the fire kind of burns down where they don't ride anymore, or they transition to cruisers or riding off road kind of thing. I've noticed that a little bit of a trend with a lot, not just here in New York, just overall. Because I feel like the excitement of that, the rush of going that fast all the time, could only burn for so long until you like either burn out completely, or worst case scenario. I don't want to go down that path, but just saying. We have another comment by Fireblade Pilot. So true, Mike. Feels like every man for himself in the sport bike community. This is referring to what we were talking about a little bit earlier regarding someone mentoring an up and coming talent kind of thing in the sport bike in this community. Man, it's non-existent. What the girls are doing, what the cruiser community is doing, it's not that it's new, but it's very refreshing to see it, and it's cool to see that. That's one thing I but wish that Superbike community did do. But again, I think there's a fear of this person's gonna get bigger than me, or this person's gonna get more viewed than me. So it's kind of a weird thing. But I think but you have to remember the sports bike crowd. If we were to go by 4 or 5 years ago, it was very young guys doing it. We're talking about like 18 to 22. The understanding of business and doing YouTube was very different. It was more like, I have clout, I'm popular, is what it is. I think if you had the same question to people right now in their early 30s or late 20s, it might be a different answer. But it's too late, I think, at this point. Right? Do you agree? Do you agree, Brandon?
pretty much. Yeah, I'm pretty much on that same wavelength as well.
Let's see here. This is for you. They heard you're a good dude, but they don't know. But I'm assuming he watches you. Yeah, he's a good dude. Come on, man.
Yeah, we actually met up in person. We he had some business to take care of in my area, so we met up for dinner. Yeah, he's really cool.
I kind of figured he's met you before. That's why he wrote that. Who wrote this here? There was one person that wrote this here. Fireblade Pilot again. You're going to see some recurring names, guys. Not a huge group of people here, but I'm just filtering through all the comments from before. Did Casey quit making videos? He did not quit making videos. He moved to California. He wanted to spend more time with his family, to my understanding, at least from what I've seen of his content, that he didn't want to be consumed by YouTube doing it night and day. So that's why you don't see him as much. Futuristic Viper mentioned that 650 Eve's thumbnails are off the hook. The reason why I kind of pull up this comment, which is kind of cool, Eve tend to do this thing where he keeps his pulse on the community very well about what's hot, what's going on, and what's it change, adjust with his content. I think that's more of his business background that's impacting his YouTube channel. Not only he's doing things that he likes, he's making sure that he's in the wave at all times. Would you agree, Brandon?
Yeah, he's always been good at riding the trend and being in the spots where he needed to be to I guess capitalize on that. And he's doing this. Looking at the thumbnails is just a gateway to that.
I have here Southerner Writer. As a part of the audience, I can attest to the honesty you bring to each video, my man. I'm assuming he's talking about my videos and stuff. Yeah, man. The one thing about my videos, you can, at least I try not to be that guy that's like super raw and put up an act. At least what you see in the video or what you see in the stream or my shorts, whatever. I try to be the same person. And it's a tough thing. It's a good thing. It's a bad thing, because sometimes being on camera requires a little bit of a oomph. It's hard to explain, because if you're just really yourself all the way, on camera it doesn't translate that. So there has to be a little bit of the volume turned up slightly in order for certain things to come through. NB, but for most part, I'm pretty much the same. I try to be, because I don't want to be something different, because I don't want to fall into the boat where it's like, you go big or you go viral, and then everyone likes this one thing about you, and that's really not you. Now you're just so stuck, because now you're gonna have to portray this thing that is really bad, and that's gonna be hard for you to continue doing that. What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I'm pretty much what you see on camera is what you get in real life. I've had to, I guess, dial back myself, I feel like, for the camera, because I feel like people would have just been like, this guy's a freaking nerd. He's weird. But if you look at people like Stradman, for instance, I don't know if you watch Stradman in the automotive community.
Yes,
he has a persona that's like, when I was watching him back when he had the Audi TT, living out his car, right when he first bought his Gallardo, his personality was nowhere near what it is now. And it's like this now, it's just this energetic person that's always like on steroids and Adderall. And I know he doesn't take any drugs, but my point is that's what it comes across as somebody that's had way too much caffeine. And that's the persona he has for the audience that he's built. That's what people are expecting, it works for him. Like you said, there is a certain level of volume that you have to have for making a YouTube video, because when you turn that camera on, you're just like but it's just like, hey, I'm Brandon Picasso and this is my motorcycle, versus like, yeah, so this is my what's this thing called? Yeah, this is my Harley V-Rod Muscle, and I'm doing something. Yeah, no, nobody's gonna want to watch that. They want to, you just got to be natural on it. So part of it is being yourself, and you have to add a bit of like Salt Bae. You got to add a little spice to it. You got to add a little spice to it.
I agree. I'm just going to tackle maybe just one or two, and then we'll call it a night. Guys, if you're watching this now, or you're just tuning in late, you're watching it, make sure you hit the thumbs up. I know I've said it, and you guys probably did it already, but there are people that will be watching this later and stuff. So just a reminder, with YouTube, if you're not reminding people, it's just not going to get done. So I'd appreciate it if you do. It helps with the algorithm. I keep repeating it, but that's how it goes.
Somebody mentioned, if you were offered a position to partner with a bigger motorcycle publication as a creator and reviewer, who would you take?
Wait, I gotta find that. Let me pull that up. Do you know who made that comment?
It's one of the last few.
It's
one of the last, the more recent ones.
Oh, Mothman's in the building too. What's up, man? Another good fellow. Let's see here. Wow, I scrolled all the way down, but I didn't see those. Let me see here. Just need to find a name.
Chrome and Throttle.
Okay, let me see how we do. Oh, here we go. There you go. You.
If I had to pick one, I would probably go with. I'd probably go with Indian. And the reason for that is that Indian is they're the people that gave me a chance with the press event. I like the people over at Indian. I like the people over at Harley. But I'm just gonna be honest with you. I don't think Harley would have given me any attention if Indian wasn't already giving me attention. So I would definitely, if I had a chance, it would definitely be Indian. And plus, all of my friends ride Indian. I am not a one-person brand kind of rider. I ride Harley, I ride Suzuki, I ride Ducati, I ride anything. I like riding motorcycles. I like riding two wheels. I'm three wheels. I've been on Can-Ams. I like Can-Ams. They're fun to ride. I've been in the Slingshot. They're a lot of fun to ride or drive, I guess, if you want to look at it from that perspective. But long story short, I would pick Indian.
I know that question was for Brandon, but I'm going to jump in anyway because I want to answer it too. Why not? Because my chance will come, and I'll probably get that opportunity at some point. Yes. For me, I would definitely go with BMW. I think I'm a closet lover for BMW because I feel like they have the.
Okay, I like BMW.
BMW has a complete lineup, man. Whether you want super, you want a cruiser style bike, classic looking bike. If you want an adventure bike, you want maybe like a dirt bike style. I think BMW has a nice range, and their bikes are known to be great bikes and efficient. So for me, I would say BMW.
Have you seen the R18 in person?
No, I've seen tons of videos.
I'm gonna tell you, it's I know it's not for everybody. It's an old looking cruiser, but dude, the attention to detail on that motorcycle is freaking beautiful. Even if you're not a sports, a cruiser person, I feel like if you appreciate the attention to detail and like the exposed drive shaft components, and as you're riding, you see it spinning. Like
That's cool.
it is a beautifully crafted motorcycle. But yeah, I agree. BMW puts out beautiful stuff. Oh, and that Viplin, that 401, that Viplin is a beautiful bike too. Mothman, I really like the Viplin.
No, Chrome thought I mentioned I'm like Neo in the live stream. Yeah, you have no idea, man. I'm like punching into the matrix to get this done, guys. It's nuts. I don't know. Let me see if I could just kind of see if I could just show you guys this here. So back here you could see all the bikes, but that's me right there. That's what usually my overhead setup you're seeing, and above that giant glowing light, that's my overhead light setup. I also have I have 3 different studios set up in the garage where I can do, and I have one in my home office so I can shoot other things. But overhead setups here, as you can see right here, I'm pointing. This is my overall view where I'm seeing pretty much everything with the chat and everything else. And right there, that's another display smaller right here. Over here, you guys can see that that's one of the controllers. And right on that side, which you can't see, there's another controller. And then I have a whole laptop that I'm kind of jumping between multiple displays and stuff, man. Yeah, it's an art in itself, to be honest. And weirdly, I feel like I'm learning with every single stream. I learn so much. Every time I feel like I can't even get comfortable because there's still so much that you can learn and how to do it better and make it more ideal. At some point when we are doing the Q&A, I will have both entities on screen, but for now, just with me working, and then from the time I have on Sundays and stuff like that, I have to pre-program everything, and it's like I haven't gotten a chance to actually sat here. But we'll do one more comment, and then we'll call it a night. We're going on 2 hours plus. Usually it's not as long, and I'm taking everybody's time. Mike, do you think that Honda self-balancing bike will eventually come out? Absolutely not, man. I think that bike, at least not anytime soon. Technologies are growing. The whole electrical bike movement is probably part of that. I mean, it's pretty much like Tesla-ish kind of stuff. These are all like not demo bikes. How do you call concept bikes? So these are all potential ideas and technology that's gonna be explored in the future and stuff like that. So, it's gonna be a long time before we start seeing anything like that, man. Currently joining the Husqvarna. Okay, I'll do the last one. Mothman. I'm currently jonesing for the Husqvarna Smart Pillin 401. Anything you want to chime in on? You want to answer that, Brandon? Well, it's not a question, but it's just a comment. Yeah.
Yeah, I just said I'm the same way. I really like that Viplin. It is a beautiful motorcycle to me. It's kind of compact. It has that naked cruise, that naked bike vibe, and I mean, it's a 401, so I mean, it's not the most powerful bike, but some of those bikes are some of the best, most fun bikes to ride. So.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something that you're going to use to go up and down through town, I think it's going to be a perfect bike. But jumping on the highway and stuff like that, or going for long rides, I don't know if it's super powerful, but it has a lot of style and flair on it. I mean, for me, speed, I mean, pretty much any one of these bikes will go triple digits, really. I mean, how much more speed do you need is, for me, when I'm looking at any bike, style, personality, the way engine characteristic comes into play, and then speed is kind of like the third thing for me. Because pretty much anything you're going to get is going to be hitting triple digits, and realistically, it's not often you're going to be able to get to do that. For me, one of the things that I value a lot on any bike, being able to get a lot of torque down low, I guess, hence why I'm a big Ducati guy. They do that extremely well. The sense of inertia, the speed that you get down low quickly is something that's pretty cool. Anyway, I'll let Brandon wrap up so we can all dip out. Brandon, anything you want to throw in before we get out of here?
No, I just want to say thank you for inviting me out and showing me to your audience. Hopefully it's not the last time. And of course, we'll be talking more behind the scenes on how we can both grow this thing that we're doing and try to inspire more people to ride, man, and make more waves in the community and do some good positive stuff. So for all y'all that came out, I hope y'all hit that like button because you know, people like Clutch, man, he puts a lot of work into this, and it means a lot if you guys can simply click that button because a lot of work goes into this stuff. So, but no, again, man, just thanks for having me on and seeing something in me to want to bring me on here and just talk. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure. I'm so glad you came through, man. To be honest, I appreciate you taking the time because this was quite a bit of work for us to just sit here and taking your time. I'm sure you probably have to work the following day.
Yeah, I'm about to go eat dinner now.
You too? Yeah, me too. I'm gonna have dinner now.
She's like, "Yo, you done?" I was like, "No, I'm wrapping up." She's like, "Okay."
Yo, I'm gonna have dinner now too. So yeah, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in. Really appreciate it. If you want, you missed the live chat, you could still comment in the video. I will reply. Hit the thumbs up. We'll catch you guys on another episode Sunday of Freestyle Sunday at 8. Thank you so much. You guys have a good night.